Welcome back, Tam Fam. Today's show is about looking back at our past regrets and mistakes in order to move forward so that we can change and grow and become a better version of ourselves. Still with me is Daniel Pink, New York Times bestselling author of The Power of Regret, How Looking Backward Moves Us Forward. And my next guest had a regret that I'm sure many people in the Tam Fam can relate to: divorce. Brandon Musick had one goal in life: to be an amazing father and husband. But 8 years into his first marriage, Brandon's world came crashing down when his wife asked him for a divorce. Here's his story.
My dream in life was always to be a great father and a great husband. I was with my ex-wife for 10 years total. We were married for 8. We raised 3 wonderful children together. I thought I was living the perfect life. That was until December 2016, when my ex-wife and I were having a discussion, and she said she did not love me anymore. It completely caught me off guard, and at this point, she was so emotionally shut down, nothing I could do could win her love back. My divorce broke me. I felt hurt, I felt shame, and this huge regret that I had failed as a husband. There were several times where I even wanted to take my own life. But thanks for the love of my kids and the desire to find love again, I was determined to reflect back on the things that I could have done better and what I needed to do to improve. I also wanted to search for the partner who was right for me. I believe that my divorce had made me a better father and a better man.
Wow. Tam Fam, please welcome Brandon Musick to the show. Brandon, thank you so much for joining and sharing that story. How did you start to move forward? Let me rephrase that. When did you start making the list, if you will, at least mentally, of the things you felt you did wrong?
Well, during the divorce, I was, my wife was my world, my family was my life, and I did some reflecting back. I had a lot of regrets of things that I didn't do. I should have, rubbed her feet and her neck when it was sore or bothered her. I should have listened to her more. I should have asked more questions. We need to remember why we fell in love, and I just didn't put her first. So after the divorce, I kind of made a list of what I needed to do to improve the things I regretted and that I wish I would have done better.
How hard was it? Because that's a long list, and I think it's a list of things that people can relate to in relationships. How hard was it to start going through those things and looking back knowing that she was gone, the marriage was over, so you don't get the redo, but you can apply it to the next marriage?
Yeah, it was extremely hard. As I said in the intro, there was a few times when I wanted to take my own life, when I was depressed, but luckily the love for my kids and the desire to find love again and the desire not to fail again, to be a better man, overcame that negative time in my life.
Daniel is still here with us. I know that in your research, divorce was a common regret. When they say it's like a death in the family, it is like that for people, and you can tie yourself up into looking back on it.
Absolutely, and the way that Brandon dealt with this is almost textbook of how you do this. And one of the things that bugs me is when people say, I have no regrets, I never look backward. They say it as a sign of courage, as if they're, and that's not real courage. Real courage is what Brandon did. Real courage is looking your regrets in the eye and doing something about them. And the process that he went through here is exactly right. You have to actually go inward. And talk to yourself in a different way. When we all engage in self-talk, when we talk to ourselves in the face of mistakes, we're brutal.
Yeah.
All right? The way we talk to ourselves is incredibly rude and vicious sometimes. Don't do that. Yeah. Instead, treat yourself with kindness rather than contempt. And I think that Brandon made his way there. He disclosed it, he talked about it, he made sense of it, and he extracted lessons from it. And that's what real courage is.
When we come back, Brandon says that looking back at the past relationship made him a better father, and Daniel will give us more advice on how we can apply this into our lives. And guess what? Brandon's new wife, Kayla, joins us as well after the break. Welcome back. Today we're talking about the power that comes from looking back at our regrets to help us move forward and change. Still with us, New York Times bestselling author Daniel Pink, who's here to talk about his latest book, The Power of Regret, How Looking Backward Moves Us Forward. He's got tips for all of us coming up. But we also have with us Brandon Musick, a father of 3, who felt immense regret after his divorce, but now says he used that regret to learn the lessons that made him a better father and a better man, and he found love as a result. Joining us now is Brandon's new wife, Kayla. Kayla, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
You know, I know that you entered the relationship as well with past regrets that you had to deal with. What was it like for you?
Yeah, when Brandon and I met, we were both very broken. He was going through the divorce, and I was going through coming out of a abusive relationship. I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, wow, I'm 35, never been married, single, no kids. What's wrong with me? Felt huge regrets for all of the relationship choices I had made. So when Brandon and I finally got set up, we came broken, but we both came with an openness of wanting to find love again.
And that's the key, Daniel, is that they recognized that there were regrets. They went inward to deal with them and do the work. What advice do you have for people who have these connection regrets? I think that's what this falls under, connection regrets.
Yeah,
somewhat?
it's sort of it's a mix of things. So number one is exactly the way that they have dealt with their regret is you don't ignore it. You don't say no regrets, but you also don't wallow in it. You don't say, oh my gosh, I'm divorced, I'm the worst person in the world, there's something fundamentally flawed with me. What you do is you think about your regrets.
Yeah.
You think about them. You say, and the way you do that is first of all, you give yourself a little bit of forgiveness internally. All right? Here's the thing.
Which people don't do that enough. You got to forgive yourself.
We treat ourselves worse than other people. It's very important to disclose and talk about it. Emotions, especially negative emotions, are blobby and abstract. But when we talk about them or even write about them, we convert them into concrete words. That begins the sense-making process. And then, as both of them have done, they said, what's the lesson I've learned here? And there's some interesting techniques for how do we draw lessons from our own experience, too.
Brandon, on those days that were very difficult, looking back at the past, could you have imagined, or did you imagine, that it would lead to this beautiful marriage that you have now?
Did I think I'd find someone as amazing as Kayla? Absolutely not. But I did know that life would get better, that I could get through this. I'm a veteran, so I've been to war before, and I know there's dark times in the past, and things always come out brighter on the other side.
Well, listen, you have a beautiful story to share. Kayla, thank you as well for sharing your past relationship and what you endured. I admire you both. And my team was watching you in the commercial break, and they said, oh, my God, they're the cutest. They're kissing. They're like newlyweds.
Oh, well, thank you. Our kids love you, Tamron.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on finding each other and growing your family together.